Hey everybody, Boris speaking at Forex. Welcome to the weekly technicals for the crosses from March 18 to March 22nd, 2019. And the story on the crosses this week is a little bit of everything. A low volatility trade, a high volatility trade, and a potential breakout trade. Let's take a look at what I have in mind here this week. So low volatility cross that I think is just kind of a mean reversion trade is the Aussie Kiwi. I'll show you on the charts. It's essentially a trade on the idea that we held the 103 for about 4 or 5 days. I think Kiwi outperforming Aussie maybe done for now, especially, and this is the key thing, if we can get good labor data out of Aussie, the Aussie Kiwi trade really has a reasonable chance here to trade to 104. So to me, it's just a simply small, tight risk, tight reward, mean reversion trade back to the moving average. So there's a potential here towards the 104. I'll show you the charts in just 1 second. The huge high vol trade is, of course, the Brexit trade. This is kind of like the strongest to the weakest. CAD has been the weakest last week. It still remains, I think, very hobbled by a lot of internal problems. And if we get a positive pro-Brexit resolution, there's a strong chance here we get a breakout and a move towards the 180. On the other hand, a move to the downside supports us all the way to 174. You can see it's a massive 600 pip range, so you have to trade the small and trade it wide in order to kind of take advantage of the trade, but it's in a clear uptrend, and it does have the potential here to break out towards the fresh round number highs. And then finally, again, another kind of a Brexit trade here, but one that only I think can be put into play if you get the downside broken. So this is a downtrend, pretty clean, clear downtrend, but this 84.70 has been a very strong support level for the last several weeks. Only a strong positive pound move breaks out to the downside and opens up the run towards the 84s. On the other hand, the move back up is kind of capped at the 86 level. Let's take a look at the charts, and we can actually start with the euro pound to show you what I mean. So here's what I mean about the momentum move. This is a trade, yes, clearly pound positive, euro negative here. We rejected the highs. We're clearly underneath the 20 SMA, all negative. Everything does shape up for a short, but we're running right into this rock hard support at the 84.70 level, and that's why I would really want to be a seller here if it breaks support. If we take out the 84.70s, yes, then we have a natural downward pull all the way to 84s. That's really sort of a pro-pound trade, and euro kind of stays stationary on those numbers. So that's not a bad trade, but one that requires timing before you kind of come in. The pound CAD, which is a much higher volatility version of the same idea, definitely looks very positive when you look at the chart here on a longer term basis, and you certainly see the moving averages one above the other. You see the 20 above the 500 and the price above the 20, but it's a very ziggy-zaggy move. As you can see, highs ups, highs downs, lots of corrective moves, which is why the correction here could take us all the way down to 174 before it actually creates a negative trend. So there is lots of volatility to the upside, to the downside, but still, I think if you get a positive resolution on the UK story, if the Brexit story this week confirms that Theresa May's deal gets passed in Parliament, then we have a chance to move all the way through the 78s, all the way towards the 180s. And if we pull back, you see that the 78 is kind of the double top overhang. That breakthrough then opens up the full run towards the 180 and even possibly all the way to 185. But CAD still remains the very weak link in this whole situation, which is why the move against the CAD in the pound could be much stronger than the move against the dollar, if you believe there's going to be a happy ending on the Brexit story as the week proceeds. So overall, while you are clearly chasing the move here, it's still not so grossly overbought that it doesn't have continuation. And you really, if you do have positive news here, it seems to be a pretty good momentum move through the move. You might sort of use the same entry tactics as you would use on the euro pound. That is, let the price confirm your thesis. I would probably be a buyer only at 78.15, 78.20. In other words, let the price really skyrocket above those levels to confirm that the pound story is true, and then you have a reasonable chance then for a momentum move all the way up to the 180s. Now, the last but not least is sort of a very, very low volatility trade, which is the odd Kiwi trade is a much lower volatility, much more relaxed, much less of a heart attack type of a idea. And frankly, it's really nothing more than just kind of a reversion to the mean. Let me just zoom in on this thing and you can see. It's clearly in a big downtrend. But when you look at the signature of this downtrend in the odd Kiwi, you basically see a series of bottoming out, then a small move back to the moving average, then a leg down. Bottoming out, small move back to the moving average, even a crossover, then a leg down. bottoming out, small move back to the moving average, and a leg down. So we've had this kind of another leg down, and now we're in this bottoming out formation. To me, the move here towards the moving average of 104, especially if we get positive Australian labor data, pretty possible. At the same time, the risk here is very minimal. You're talking about only 40 points. If we break out the 103s, that's a trade you don't want to be near, because it means we're going to start possibly a fresh down leg and the retest of this really spike low at the 102s. But I think as you're getting this alignment, the trade generally tends to mean revert much more than not, and therefore the possibility of Aussie strengthening against the Kiwi, just even on a small basis, provides a pretty decent risk-reward trade here to the moving average. So I like it to the 104s, but if it takes out 103s, that trade is busted. Wish you guys the best luck, the best trading. Boris over and out.